Hello, everybody. Welcome to the September 11th meeting of the Infrastructure Task Force. Could you please call the roll?
Mr. Angeli,
Here.
Mr. Grabsky, Mr. Labrie,
Present.
Mr. Lamberts,
Here.
Mr. Marshall, Mr. Partington,
Here.
Mr. Walters,
Here.
Mr. Zolman,
Here.
Ms. Resco, and Chair Romano.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Okay. You all had a chance to look at the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Roosevelt moved it, Peter seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Everybody had a chance to take a look at the minutes from the previous meeting. Do I have any comments?
Yeah, I don't think I talked
Okay. Any other comments?
Move to accept the minutes from
August 7th.
August 7th with or without corrections.
Second.
We got a second from James. Any other comments? All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? I didn't hear any opposed. So let us get on to new business. I assume that is what Laura is here to talk about. Is the manager coming?
So he said somehow it didn't end up on his agenda, so he asked for me to represent him today if possible.
Well, certainly possible.
He just
It's funny.
so good afternoon, Laura Reese. I'm the Director of Office of Management and Budget. Thank you for having me today. On behalf of the city manager, I just wanted to share a little bit about the planning for what you all talked about at your joint meeting with the city commission. So we're in preliminary phases, obviously. It was just a couple of weeks ago that it was decided that there's going to be a public participation event. And that event, or not the event, the effort is going to be in coordination with your team on the infrastructure task force. I put together a draft. Again, this has not been approved by the city manager yet, but this is sort of like a working plan that we sat down and started drafting of what it might look like. Really, it's the reason for it is just to get some input. The idea that Greg had was that we would have a total of 5 public meetings. And there'll be involvement from your team each step along the way and preparing for it. And then maybe 1 or 2 of you at the event, if not everyone, and then a recap afterwards. So what we had in mind, and we thought September 25th would be the kickoff with your team, but it kind of moved up, it looks like. The first discussion is now September 11th. But we have some pre-work meeting with New Maryland, maybe in advance, designing what this looks like. And then we prepare for the kickoff. The first workshop we would hope would be in October. And the topic of that is just introduction and kickoff to what the plan looks like. And we thought that location might be at the Main, so a downtown location. Greg thought that would, the DBA has a relationship there. So that was kind of a draft location. As we go through the workshops, we'll talk through what the ideas were and then maybe potential locations for them. The second workshop would be the second workshop would be in a different location. So we'd rotate throughout the city. So we thought maybe one of the workshops at the YMCA that we've had good experience there. One of the workshops at the Main, one at Holiday Park, one at Beach Community Center. Those were the ideas. We're trying to get some availability of what dates are available for public meetings. I don't know that they're included on the thing, but we would try to figure out. It was color coded, and I think what threw me off is now it's like the light color. So workshop 2 is really the intent of that workshop would be to discuss the types of spaces that the public might want in City Hall. Like for neighbors meeting with other neighbors. One of the things we heard from the Council of Civic Associations is they'd like some space where they could have their monthly meetings, places where HOAs could meet, things like that. That might be something that's discussed in the meeting. Neighbor to public official, what would you like your relationship and interaction space to look like when you, with your elected officials? Interaction with government, you know, when you need help with something, what would that look like? So trying to design what spaces the public might use in a new city hall, that would be the focus of workshop 2 in this draft. Workshop 3, amenities. You know, we've heard a variety of things thrown out already, probably publicly. Would it have a school as part of it? Would it have a daycare? Would there be like art, you know, like some sort of like an artist loft? What sort of things would the public want to have involved here? I'm not saying that those are good ideas. I'm just throwing those out as ideas. But that would be workshop 3 would be focused in on that. Workshop 4, how would we procure this? Does the public think if P3 is good? Well, we would lay out all the different options, get some input on, you know, the pros and cons of, you know, design build. I'm probably not gonna have all of the examples, maybe Omar can help me here, but all of the different ways you might procure a large project like this, that would be the focus of workshop 4. And then workshop 5 would be a recap and then next steps. And those are the ones that we sort of plan. So the idea would be a variety of locations, a variety of topics, and then sort of like a report out afterwards back to this group. And you know, we usually have to tweak things a little bit along the way, but as we're designing the process, we'd like some, you know, early input from you guys if you had some.
What time during the day do you think these workshops would be at?
Typically, when it's a public meeting, where we're encouraged to have them after 5 o'clock.
Perfect.
Just because, you know,
I
for
just want- yeah.
typical working schedules.
I just want to make sure it would be at a time that would be, you know, a little bit more convenient for folks to be able to attend.
Yeah, but if you all think that we should have some variety, we might be able to do that too. Do you think all of them should be after 5? All of them after 5?
I
Okay.
think so, when you're dealing with the general public, yeah.
Yep, okay,
Hours don't have to be 8 to 5 hours. can
Okay.
be this time. So let me see if I understand, we're looking at 5 workshops.
that's in this draft, right? We can tweak it.
No, let's
Yeah.
work, let's work with it, 5 workshops. Before January, we're in September.
No, so 5 works, so if you go on the back of the page.
Right, the last workshop is in December of 2023.
Is that workshop 5? Okay.
Yeah,
Yep, so 5 workshops, so then each would be like one evening.
oh, I'm. The one evening doesn't bother me, it's like, what are we gonna, what kind of materials, what kind of pre-information, public, you know, juicing up the public to be there between September and December, 5 workshops. I'm very, very.
I think the concern is that if we have to wait for this to go through before we can engage in the next steps, which is even starting to procure at City Hall, I think we were encouraged to sort of make it happen sooner than later. But I mean, staff's willing to put in the work to put the information together. If there's something that we can start, we can kind of work on all of them concurrently because they're all the same, they're all different topics.
And the first workshop might dictate the other ones too, like
You might
for instance,
see,
you have
yeah.
a workshop and you decide City Hall is gonna be right here. And not over here, you know, you have more than one, I'm just saying, that could be the case too.
And my question would be, when we talk about the layout of City Hall and room for public meeting. We are doing that before we meet with the public, to find out what it is that they want.
No, this is the public.
I mean, I know,
Oh,
but
okay.
in here, we have a meeting, I think it was the first one. That where we are location and layout.
Oh, no, well, so layout topics, meaning letting the public know what topics are at what meetings. So maybe that terminology is
Oh,
added.
okay.
So maybe preview topics instead of layout topics. I'll change that. Okay, thank you for that.
The other thing is, I spoke on this before, and we are still having the public to come to our meeting. rather than we go to their meeting. And organizing this, and if you can find out, and in a particular, I would assume that the board meeting, one in each
Yeah.
district, and find out when that district meeting will be held, and then schedule our meeting to be a part of it. And I think you get greater participation.
So when you say that district meeting, so when the commissioner meets, like a pre-agenda review or?
It
what?
could be that, or it could be the homeowner association meeting. But getting people to come to our meeting, you're gonna run into a problem where some people gotta get dinner ready, and others just came in from work and they're tired. So, but if the homeowners association is a president is involved in helping organize a time and a place, I think the residents in that district will be a greater turnout. That's just fine.
Yeah, no, that's good feedback. We have what is it, 100 HOA? I mean, a lot. of
60 something.
60 some, it's a lot of HOAs.
And
So-
they're not all active. I think we in the council, we have maybe 45 that are active.
Do you think that's the good group to go through then, the council?
Oh,
of
absolutely. I
civic
mean, you got,
associations
it's
and
set up,
then-
you know, it's like, here we are, use us.
Okay. Would that work for your idea? To be the
A-
council? of civic-
Absolutely.
Okay.
We just need to find every way possible to get the community to provide us with input.
Mhm.
If we don't do that, then once the building is half built, everybody gonna have damn complaints. And you know, it's better to take care of the complaints up front. And even though if they complain about it halfway through, say, but this is what you asked us to do.
Okay.
This is your idea that we are putting forward. And I said this at the other meeting, a long time ago, back in the 80s, we came up. You know, there's always that outreach, which is what you're talking about. And we came up with a different term that was called inreach. And to go to their meeting, rather than them come to our meeting, is where you get the inreach, because they're already there. We just provide information at their meeting.
Peter had his hand up.
Well, yes, I was also going to suggest the council, but I'm concerned about this because I've been through a lot of public consultations, and people only seem to get involved when it's something that is imminent. For example, I have just been reading about Los Olas Boulevard project. They went through hugely extensive consultation, and then pretty much almost at the last moment, it felt like people were literally coming out of the woodwork and saying this is not the right plan. So until it actually is imminent, people are busy. This is very hypothetical. So I agree with the idea of us going to others. And B, let me also say, I made a particular note of in the minutes where the city manager spoke at the last meeting. The city manager said the ITF can help by defining the philosophical values and principles for a new city hall. So that's our task, identify 4 to 6 guiding principles. And one other thing I'd like to suggest is that in addition to us reaching out to others, maybe some sort of survey is conducted and it's done on a proper scientific basis, so that you're not just mailing out to everybody, but you have a subset of residents that are representative of the people that live in the city. And you send them a survey. It's a relatively small number, but if it's representative, it's going to get good results. So that's an additional way that I like to take the temperature of how people are feeling.
Okay, can I follow up on that a minute? And also on Roosevelt, the council's meeting tomorrow night, September 12th. I'm already on the agenda to talk about this effort. So they'll get, you know, I'm gonna get them enthusiastic
Okay.
about, you know, you gotta participate in this because it's your city hall, yada, yada, yada. And I also think that I will be able to bring back some feedback from that night. I mean, it's really too early to say, we'll go here, we'll go there, we want this, we want, it's a little, but they'll do that. That's what, that is exactly what will happen. Everybody will get it off their chest and I can, you know, can bring back some of that. But I want to talk to your point, especially the survey issue. We need to do social media. We need to put this out. We need to have people, not kidding. We don't send out paper surveys anymore. We send out something on, you know, on, not next door, please, not next door.
It's
but
Zen
something.
City, but it's, it goes.
Yeah,
through
I
social
mean,
media.
that's, if you want people to feel that they are really participating in this, we gotta get out there. Yeah, yeah.
The only problem is when you do social media,
Mhm.
you're kind of reaching out to a self-selected subset.
This is
already.
true, only
I mean,
the
I
people
dread
who
to
do
think,
that.
I dread to reach out. I think that next door is representative of the people that live in this city.
I agree with you on the next door substantive issue, but that would be one way.
Yes.
And it would reach a lot more people than a paper survey, and a paper survey is very expensive. But you know what, I mean, if we're gonna do this right, I don't think money is the object, you know, myself.
And you have a way to track internet survey? Because we would need to know that.
Right, so right now we contract with a company called Zen City. And they send out and they track who's responding, where they're from, and they make sure that it represents all districts and they can report back. The results by district, by, you know, demographic, all of that.
And
So,
where do they put it out to?
they put it out through electronic means, so you'll be on your phone searching whatever and it'll pop up and it'll say the city of Fort Lauderdale wants your input, and then you take the survey. And that's how we do our neighbor survey now too.
Marilyn, we also provide outreach directly to the HOA presidents and distribute it through email to their
Right,
residents as well. So we don't choose one way to put out the type of information. We have many avenues,
Good.
and our strategic communication teams know how to target each different demographic throughout the city, recognizing some people have more electronic access, some people have less, and they know how to do this at this point in time. So we'll make sure that information gets out. To one of your points earlier about who's gonna go to 5 meetings. You know, we've got the topics broken up as 5 distinct activities. And there are 5 very different information gathering activities. One of the things that we may want to do is when you have these types of facilitated gatherings, there's something that is created called a parking lot. And the idea of the parking lot is to address issues that aren't being focused on at that meeting, but to be able to give people the opportunity for input. And if our expectation is that any one member of the public is only going to be able to participate at one meeting, we may want to have parking lots for the other topics for them to have post-it notes and put up their information on those topics, even though they're not going to be present at those.
Yeah, but you can't do that in Parker.
You can do that. Parker.
Oh, that's very difficult. It's
You can do it in the lobby.
Well, maybe in the lobby.
Yeah, that's, we didn't intend to have them at Parker, so so far the locations, and actually there's a consultant that we're working with to get a proposal and go through procurement with. It's called Dickey's Consulting, they're partners with the I'm gonna say the institute wrong, it's the Architects Institute. So we will have a third party facilitating the session, somebody who's an expert in doing the surveys. We had a pre-meeting, in terms of providing the information in order to get a proposal, and strategic communications within that meeting. All of the relevant parties, they talked about having a project page, where it's a specific web page you could go to, and then tracking the status and written report outs from each of the meetings too. So we're trying to create that kind of structure now, with your input. You know, the survey is a great idea that was discussed, doing it electronically. Maybe I know at least one commissioner really likes some paper surveys too, so it might be a combination. You know, to your point, social media might not be the best way, but yeah, we want all the input.
James, you were next.
So, can I start? In my opinion, this is pretty aggressive. So
We want things fast, right?
that's a lot in 6 months. I want to agree, that I think the Council for Lauderdale Civic Association really has to be involved in this. I think that serves as a conduit for all of the neighborhoods. District 1, as far as I know, does not have a district meeting. And I don't know if District 4 does, or 3 or 2. I know District 1 does not. Now, the commissioner has a meeting before the city commission meeting, but I don't really think that is a district meeting. I don't know. maybe-
We used to have it over at the beach,
Community center.
yeah, the community over there, but that seems to have gone with what's inside ever since, I guess, COVID.
So again, but the point I'm going to here is that to go to all the neighborhood civic associations meetings, forget about, that is,
No.
Too many.
that is too much. Surveys, I think, I agree with Peter, this has to, if we're gonna do a survey, then there's gotta be some kind of science behind it. Doing an email blast, or doing a, something on Facebook, or, that is not scientific, because maybe 50% of the people in District 1 use Facebook, and 10% of the people in District 4 use Facebook. So why would, there would be underrepresentation? I like the idea of a mail out survey, to tell you the truth, and I don't know how much it would cost, but I would like to see something like that. That is certain number of people per capita per district, so that you get a wide representation, and it's up to the people to respond.
Like, just like we do the neighborhood surveys every
You
year.
do that electronically now.
Really, we don't do that with paper anymore?
We don't.
So how do you know who to send it to?
So it's done through a third party. All of our scientifically based surveys are done through third parties that validate the set that they have that whole data science
Okay,
covered for us.
I think to get it.
But how do you?
I've never done. No. So I'm sorry, it's like,
No, I think, I don't think you have individual surveys for different outlets, right? You don't do one specifically on Facebook, you don't do one specifically by mail. I think that if like, for example, you use social media as an outreach item to send people to a location, right? So the location of the survey is gonna go, it will be the same location that you would send via email, same location on Facebook, Instagram, et cetera. I think mail is also a really important, tool as well. I can tell you my generation, at least the ones I know in my generation. I personally don't even check the mail every 2 weeks. Everything's electronic. So I don't think you're gonna get the response from our generation as much, but that's what you have the other means for, an electronic communication. And I think if it all points in the same direction, we get, we have a lot of large numbers, and the more respondents we get, I think the better the data is gonna be quantitative.
but it also with every survey, it's what questions are you gonna ask? And
Right.
how do you ask the
Well,
question?
that's why they have the consultant.
So we need to talk, I think at our next meeting, which is the October 2nd meeting, we need to talk to that consultant.
With
that's
company.
where I think the facilitated discussion comes. They help us to drive to those kinds
So the,
of questions and decision.
yeah, so the facilitator will be facilitating the public sessions, and then the separate company would be helping us to design questions. But yeah, so we can invite,
Yeah.
the folks from both to the next meeting. Hopefully we'll have the consultant on board. We already have the survey company that we partner with regularly,
Right.
so it would be organic that they already have who to send it to and all that. They could explain that to you, and we can maybe add those manual pieces or whatever makes you guys get to that comfort level.
Sorry, just one more follow-up question. Is it possible that we can have these meetings also virtual, or at least recorded in some way, so folks can, I just want to
Oh, very,
provide a
very
means.
important.
So,
Provide a means to where, somebody can't come to us and say, well, I didn't have the opportunity at least to see it afterwards, or to be a part of it or whatever, like just to kind of open every possible app up, to having involvement, so.
It may be that every venue doesn't have the ability
That's
to
it.
live stream, but you certainly can video it and put it on the city's
Yeah.
YouTube channel.
So I think watching it, so when we spoke with the consultant, watching it wouldn't be a problem. It's an extra effort to involve remote people while you have another group you're facilitating in person. So we can talk through some of those challenges once we have the consultant on board, but the initial feedback was that it's challenging to actually engage external folks unless it's like just reading questions kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and
yeah.
I run into that now, trying to do a hybrid
Yeah.
meeting, it's like horrible,
Alright.
horrible to do. But the idea of videoing the
Yeah.
meeting and then posting it someplace, like on the city's website.
Yeah.
So that, people can, in the comfort and privacy of their own home, just look and see what happened.
And I think live streaming wasn't a challenge at all from the consultant's perspective. It might get bored if people are doing sticky work or whatever they're
Yeah.
doing, but it should be live streamed. She didn't have any concerns with that. It was just, she thinks it would be limited ways to actually engage the others when you're whiteboarding and, because unless everyone's remotely and breaking out into rooms.
Right. Good thinking. The other thing I wanted to point out is when we did the water treatment plant, after we got to a certain point and there was a certain number of meetings, we did a city hall, not a city hall,
Town hall.
a town hall meeting where people can call in and ask questions. That could like be the kind of culmination
Okay,
of this,
so a virtual town hall.
a virtual town hall.
And that's another opportunity when you have the recordings or you have anything online is to also have a link for the survey as well, right? So then folks won't feel like they don't have an opportunity to provide, to not provide input if they're not able to make the meeting. If we give them that resource to be able to make that input, so they can't come back and say, well, I never had a chance to, I didn't know. It's just.
They will that, they will anyway.
Oh, man.
So we
That's
got-
what I sound like.
And
Star.
But what I heard is, so I'm no expert in these, but from what I heard when we were talking to the two consultants too, is it's almost two different things. The scientific survey is one thing. And then a page where there's opportunities for input is almost something different. So you could link them back to this page, but still keep the scientific validity of a survey. And in order to keep the validity, you have to almost keep that separate. That's sort of the message we got. If you want a scientifically valid survey, you have to follow a consistent approach, but you can have another page where anyone can provide input. Understanding that it's more like a next door approach, right, where anyone can share whatever they want, no matter if they were chosen or not.
Good, excellent, Peter.
The problem is that we're trying to get to the 90% that
Right.
rarely interact with City Hall. But when they do interact, they don't know how to do it and they immediately get frustrated. So it's the silent majority thing here. We have to find out how people interact with City Hall. And even if they say they never do, there's bound to be something that's happened to them or some occurrence over the last 10 years where they have needed to reach out to city government. And how do they do it? That's the problem that I experience with pretty much all the residents in my neighborhood is they complain about things. And then when I tell them, how to follow up on it, they're kind of amazed that there are channels, but they never seem to know how to do it. Those are the people that we really need to somehow get their opinion on how they would like to be able to interact with this.
There's another opportunity in February, Neighbor Night Out. Where we all meet at City Hall in the garage and we have all the booths set up and we have a party essentially. We should set up a booth. And then, where would you like the new City Hall? Because by February, we should have some substance to ask people about. So you might want to just put that down on your list of opportunities, Neighbor Night Out.
Oh, please, that's the neighbor night, yeah.
So can I ask the chair then? You're on the agenda tomorrow
Yep.
for the council. So you're going to say to the council, but I kind of know how that works. They carry the message back to their individual neighborhood associations. What message are you going to put down there?
I would have liked to have had something in my hand to give them, to take back, because if you don't give them something, they don't remember it, or, it's not real unless you say, okay, now take this back and discuss. So this, I think, is a little premature to use, and it's a little too complicated to use at that kind of thing. So I would, I was asked to do this presentation. I did not volunteer to do it. I was asked if I would do it, and I said, sure. Of course, it makes a lot of sense.
Council?
By Mary Pelton, so I don't really have anything to do except to jazz them up and say, look, this is a great opportunity. And I was going to tell them about the workshop and that the mayor and the commissioners asked us to come in and asked us if we would participate. I was gonna give them a little bit of history. Thank you, Ralph, for giving me the history of the workshops that we had, because I had forgotten and I couldn't find them. But, you know, they worked out really well. We developed a lot of material from them. So I was gonna give them that history. I was gonna give them the history of the water treatment plant, the principles that we, you know, established. We didn't tell them where to build it or, you know, how to build it. We said, these are the principles, and that this was gonna be that kind of an effort. We're gonna guiding principles, whatever they want to call it. You know, so I was just gonna do a sort of an introductory presentation. But you know, maybe if I have some time tonight, I can put something down using this as the sort of, you know, something.
I would suggest.
Give me some suggestions. I'm up there
that,
myself.
you know, it's an overview. We're starting off, we're going to be, the infrastructure task force has been asked to be involved. We are going to get some professional facilitation, plan to have meetings. We'll be talking to the council of Fort Lauderdale. Maybe you need to be a regular agenda item going forward. Right now, not cast in stone. We have 5 workshops. No dates, no places, no real topics decided yet.
Mhm.
Decided, we have some ideas. Just a high level overview, just so that they know that these things are
Yeah,
starting.
that's what I'm thinking.
And that will be coming in the future, and we want council to be part of that conversation, and the representatives of the neighborhoods to be part of that conversation.
They may even, I mean, and they may even decide, well, let's get a little committee together. Okay,
Well,
that might work.
Council.
The council, they have a committee that's doing charter revision. We have a committee that's doing P3. So maybe it's up to Mary and, you know, and to the group. You can't predetermine these things. Like you say, you give them an overview and then it happens. And how it happens, it happens. And they may say, okay, we'll have a committee, or they may say, okay, we'll take it back to our guys.
having a committee will be putting you in charge.
No,
so-
no.
So just remember that, and you're already in charge of P3.
No, no more committees. I'm done.
And
And it wouldn't, obviously wouldn't be.
Madam Chair.
Yeah.
I would suggest in addition to, Rick, is that when you start with the 2 or 3 minute summary of where we have came from, so that it won't think we are brand new, trying to start something we never did before.
Oh, yeah,
And so we start off however many years we've been together.
exactly. You know, maybe I should bring this. Maybe I should have this in hand. And you know, it's a draft.
You can't have this out.
No, it's too complicated. All right.
Yeah, it's
This is
Marilyn, would you like a copy of
over the
the
top.
city manager's slides from the last meeting? Would those be helpful for you?
I don't think we have the ability. It's a Zoom meeting. Yes, it's a Zoom meeting.
So that's something we should request and get to you.
That would be great. We get that to me before, you know, sometime tomorrow.
That's public
I'll ask
record.
Mary if I can, you know, share my screen and we just use that. Very good. Thank
Are you zooming in? Is that what you're doing?
That's Zoom tomorrow night. Yeah, we don't have any hall. We can't afford the hall anymore, so we're Zooming. That's why we need a new city hall.
That's
because
one of
we
the
can't
features you
afford it.
It's a Zoom meeting tomorrow?
It's a Zoom meeting tomorrow night.
Well, maybe a lot of
Yes.
people would think that that's good.
Yeah, well, we do get a lot more people on the
We
Zoom
don't
than we
really
get.
know.
No, it's a thing. Okay, so getting back to this, to what's in front of us. Are you anticipating that we're gonna have our meetings in addition to the workshop meetings?
Well, so I think that's the input we're looking for, and actually I was planning to present more of a plan in October. This was sort of, you know, asked to come now, kind of before it's fully baked. But how we envisioned it was we get some direction in these meetings and design, make sure we all did a recap of the last meeting, design the next meeting, you know, we do that work ahead of time, make any tweaks based upon this, and then we'd hold the workshops. Understanding that the workshops, maybe a few of you would, I don't know if you guys would divide and conquer where everybody, you know, chooses one that they want to take the lead on and then a support. Because if there's 5 workshops, then there's 10 of you, right? Maybe each one does 1 or 2. I don't know, that's for you to decide, but,
In their respective district.
right. Or however you want to divide and conquer, and so the members could attend the meeting as support, or you wouldn't have to. But I think this group would help to design the meeting and make sure you're comfortable with the facilitation plan, that it was gonna get the input. So we'd recap the prior meeting, what happened at the prior workshop, design the next one, and then we would deliver that. There'd be a written document at the end, everyone will get that, we discuss that, we plan the next, it would kind of be a cadence where.
So the answer to the question
Exactly.
is, we have our regular meetings
Yeah.
plus the, okay, that's the answer.
And
to the
then
question.
in terms of plus the workshop, I don't know how, I guess we'd have to advertise all of those as infrastructure task force meetings too, because more than one of you could be there and could be
Yes,
discussing
yeah.
things.
Yes, they'd have to be, well, that's good that they're advertised, that's a good
I mean,
thing.
but they're advertised as ITF.
Yeah, but then you have to take minutes.
I think so, I think that's
You're
the
gonna have
tricky.
minutes anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, so we have to, so that's good.
But I did pick up on what James said earlier. I think that keeping on with the schedule of our regular is, overly ambitious and expecting a lot of volunteers. This is a big task in its own right. City managers and trusted to with it, so maybe we should concentrate on that. Then I have a follow-up question on the nuts and bolts. When do you expect Dicky to be on board?
so we met with the company and discussed kind of conceptually what we put together here. And we're awaiting a proposal. We're supposed to get it today or tomorrow, and then it depends on the procurement process. And what we need to follow.
So what I was getting at is,
Second,
when
yeah.
is the first time that we can meet with Cheryl Dickey?
So we have the schedule, your October meeting is what we had envisioned. We're hoping to have.
So that's the,
So October 2nd, ITF meeting, workshop and project kickoff. And then it's OMB, DCS would be so it tells you who's kind of leading it. It would be us and the consultant would be there. And from what I heard from you, we also would want Zen City at that workshop too, to talk about the survey options. Is that correct?
So to fix this up, to make this correct, the October 2 meeting is our meeting.
Yes.
And the workshop is also in October, at the end of October.
We thought we would ultimately like
Just
to,
do the
right?
first two in October.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I mean, we can change this if we just want one a month in between the meetings. Is that kind of the input I'm getting? You guys thought this was too aggressive, maybe just one each month?
James.
Yes, I think it's too aggressive, as I said before, Laura. I think if we can get 2 workshops done before the end of the year, we'll be in good shape. I cannot see us getting anything more than that.
So do you think the first one in October or November?
Well, I think we should get one in October and then one in November, and that might be
Yeah,
it, right at the
because-
beginning of December, and that might be it for the year.
And December's a bad time to have a workshop. Everybody's busy going to parties. So I agree with you. Let's go for October and November. Yes, Peter.
but suppose by our October the second meeting, the Dickey Consulting is not on board as the contract.
That's the problem.
It's a short timeframe to get that. I don't think we're gonna make much progress without somebody shepherding it so long. That's what I've been eyeing for. So, I'm concerned that not to repeat the session that we're having.
Yeah.
I can let you know in advance if it doesn't play out, but I mean, the
So
city
when you say the
managers engaged.
procurement, procurement, does that have to go through the city? Does the city have to?
The city's purchasing the services.
Right, but I'm saying is, I know when you do certain contracts under a certain amount of money, it doesn't have to go to a commission meeting.
Yeah, it depends on what the proposal cost comes back in. That's why I was saying, depending on what the cost is, either it's easier or harder. If it's anything under 100,000, doesn't need to go to the commission.
Oh, don't let them charge you 100.
That's why,
Do it.
like, I don't wanna make sure.
Let's see hourly rate.
We don't have a proposal yet.
So the threshold is 100,000. We should be able to get it.
You should be way under that.
Right,
Right,
So
so we don't have to
understanding it's
schedule a
likely a
commission
smaller
meeting and all that.
Oh, okay.
No, if they keep it, the threshold's 100,000.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I know, James and Peter both is concerned about the aggressiveness of what it is that we must do. But I think our meetings is used as planning time for the workshop. If we don't do that, we're gonna show up at the workshop and not know what the hell everybody's talking about.
it's true, that's very true.
And I know it's aggressive, but, let me see. So let me around here, everybody's about retired now. If they're not, they want to after this.
So,
Yeah, James,
so. The Roosevelt, there actually were 2 workshops scheduled for October. I don't see how we could possibly do that. We only have 1 regular meeting in October, and that's the beginning of the month. And we have other things on our agenda besides City Hall,
That's
right?
true, we
Do we
do.
not?
yes, we do.
So,
I mean, they're not things that like are immediate that we have to make decisions on, but they're things that we have to monitor. There's things that we have to monitor, people we need to talk to, how's it going, yada, yada, so.
I'm just trying to manage expectations.
And James, I agree, because we can do away with workshop number 2 and make workshop number 3 number 2. That way you
Just
got
move
one in
that, yeah.
one in
Yeah,
October, and one in
let's just push it
November.
all back just one,
Yeah.
at least one.
Okay, so
Would that work for you, Jim?
3.
I, like I said, I think we can get, if we get 2 done before the end of the year, I would be.
That would be 2.
Uh,
One October, 1 November.
And Peter?
Should we consider pushing back our October meeting to later in the month to make sure that here particularly is on board?
I would be willing to do that, to try and move the October meeting back. But then
She hasn't asked for that, we
it's-
laid this out and so far that wasn't.
And then it bumps
robust.
up onto the actual public
Yeah.
meeting.
Right,
We have those dates scheduled out.
Right.
Yeah,
Because,
it's the first Monday of the month.
yeah. Let's keep that. Yes,
I think we almost need to meet on our regular scheduled November and then schedule the first workshop shortly thereafter. So we have a game plan and do that moving forward, 1 a month. I don't know if that's realistic. I don't think we're gonna have anything ready October.
yeah, you're probably right. You're
And
probably
that
right.
way we can circle back right before the workshops rather than going a month in between. We can have everything fresh in our head, have our meeting. I know it's a lot of meetings still, but like you said, we have other things to talk about. Discuss the workshop, discuss the other things. And be ready for the workshop that week or the following week or however it pans out.
So you're thinking something in the beginning of November, the 1 in the beginning of November?
I think we, yeah. That's just the way we have our ITFAC meeting and then the first workshop somewhere in beginning. First week, second week of November, because then you're before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, before
And then-
Thanksgiving.
And then you have our December meeting, and same thing, possibly do that second workshop. First or second week in December, before it gets into that might be aggressive still, but.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, I'm following you.
Mhm.
If we do the first one in November, before Thanksgiving, putting one in December is, I think, a mistake because of the holidays. So the November one will be like the first one, okay? Everybody gets excited, we're doing that, go home, have a great holiday. And January, February, March, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna march from January 1 a month. Because by then, the consultant will be on, all right, we will have had a first meeting, so we will have generated some feedback. Then we gotta have, the surveys and send everybody out and and then when we get back after the holidays, boom, January, February, March, yeah.
Yeah, and besides, what better conversation happens around the Thanksgiving table than City Hall, right? So.
Oh, I'm
Oh, yeah.
looking forward to it.
We gotta do it before Thanksgiving.
No football, shut the football off.
You have some extra stuff to curb you.
James,
So Shane, a great suggestion. I'd rather see us spend the time to get really ready. We're all together. We know what we're doing. Have a great first workshop. So people feel good about it. We feel good about it. We learn a few lessons along the way. And then come the new year, then maybe start banging them out every other month or every 6 weeks or something like that.
Right,
So that we know what we're doing, because we cannot fail at the very beginning, because people, the public will think, what the hell is going on? What is this all
the
about?
first meeting's gotta be
It's gotta
spectacular.
be spectacular.
And let me ask staff. I don't remember whether or not we had a timeline for completing our.
I thought it was March.
Well,
I think that's what, the report back to the commission was supposed to be in March from what I remember.
Yeah, well, that was there, you know, I asked us to do this.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, it's not from me.
And if we can't do it by March,
Yeah.
as a matter of fact,
So-
March was kicked
Because
around.
I asked Chris, at the meeting when we met last time, what's the timeline? And he said 6 months, 9 months, a year. He didn't,
This was
That's in
from
the
the joint
minutes.
meeting, so I'll re-listen to the joint meeting, but that was what we noted that the report back was in March, but we can, I'm
You
sure
know,
that,
there's always a
they
draft,
modify
there's
it,
always a
yeah.
draft report back,
right,
what's happened up until now. And I think
Right.
that would be very nice to tell them, you know, up until now, this is what's happened. And we're getting ready for the final da, which will be before the summer's end. Okay, excuse me, before the summer begins. Also, one of the things I think we need to clear up definitively is what is our life expectancy? We thought we were only having a life expectancy up until March of 2024.
Another year ago.
Yeah, but apparently somewhere along the line, unbeknownst to us, they added another year.
Yeah.
So.
congratulations.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, but I haven't seen those minutes.
I didn't see the minutes, but I saw the resolution. I actually.
Oh, you did?
I asked Vicky to send it to me. It's
Okay.
somewhere in my file.
So we
So-
are, we are 25.
February 2025. Then I asked her, what is our individual timelines? And we're definitely each one individually up until February 2024. But I'm not sure about beyond that, so I have to get that information. Yeah, that's because we need to clarify that. I mean, it would be terrible for all of us to get onto this and then we're in February and some of us are not our term limited. I don't know the answers to that, but I'm gonna get the answers to that. So, but definitely the committee's longevity is February of 2025. Okay, so that was resolved.
We started at 18.
Oh, we started it. We started a long time ago.
We started when you were 18.
The note-
You were 18.
the notes that I have, it says the final presentation in February or March.
Nah, that's not gonna happen. No,
That's what we were
nice.
asking.
Nice. You know, I understand that why the commissioners want this to go
Yeah.
fast,
To-
you know, because each one has their own reason why they want to go fast as it goes. Like, each one of them has an agenda where they know in their minds and in their hearts how they want this to end up. That is not the way it's gonna go. And they should realize that is not the way this is gonna go with this group. We go as it goes. And, you know, yes, Peter.
So I agree with Shane, James. Timeline, and I think it comes under the category of measure twice and cut once. So let's be better prepared. Hopefully on October the 2nd, we can maybe dig into consulting, start to button down exactly the form that it's going to take, surveys, etc. And then we have a clear outline of what we're going to achieve at each consultation. Then I think we can go really quickly after that.
Okay, so will you be willing, let's say for the sake of the argument, what is the November meeting? What's the first Monday in November?
November 6th.
6th, okay. November 6th, October 2, November 6th. Would you be willing to move the November 6th meeting up a little? No, we can't, because then we can't have, no, we can't, it's gotta be November 6th, we've gotta meet. We've gotta have, by November 6th, the consultant's gotta be on board. And we gotta have a reasonably good idea of what materials can be prepared and presented for, then the meeting has to be like
Meeting has to
November
be scheduled
14,
well
15,
before that,
something like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Say that. One thing that is you have the first session with communities. It doesn't hold.
No,
You
you
gotta
can't have that.
redress that. No, that's gonna happen. Just, you think you're just gonna have a bunch of meetings and come up with an answer, weighty outcome. I don't think that's a strategy for success. You need a chance to read through that, you have your first one.
I think the first one is more of an introduction than anything else, and then all the surveys go out,
And then we
and then
did
you
it.
get the response from the survey, so it works out well, if there's 2 months in between to collect all that data and all the complaints from every.
You know, it's.
I mean, they're gonna-
All the
definitely
answers,
gonna be
all the
full of
answers
that.
are not directions.
No,
Mhm, that's true. So if our meeting is November 6th, that means that the first workshop is November,
It's in mid-November sometime, depending on
mid-November.
space availability and all
Space
that,
availability.
yeah.
that needs to be coordinated now.
Now, you gotta
And
find space.
where district is that going to first?
So Greg asked us to first try at the main. Because it's like in a downtown location, but did you all have different input as to?
No, as long as there's a lot of parking. It's gotta be, can't be a place
So
that people
lots of
can't
parking.
park.
Okay. Or we might have the rented space, who knows? by then.
Yeah, it has to be.
So November 13th,
Can't
The
be
week-
any after.
The
that
week of the 13th,
week
Thanksgiving's the next week.
of
Yeah.
November 13th. Okay, I'm gonna be on a plane on the 14th, so you all have to take
I
it.
don't worry about it, they'll wait on you.
No.
Somebody else has to sign up for that one.
Yeah, somebody has to sign up for that.
What do we
I
talk-
leave it in your
unless-
good hands. Don't worry about it. I'm not worried
Unless
at
it's the
all.
same week as our meeting.
November 6th. that would
Yeah,
be the
we
other
have the
option.
6th, and then you schedule it for the 8th, which is Wednesday.
Whatever, you guys have to find a spot.
Well, so I guess, we're happy to schedule it whenever, but understanding if you're gonna meet just 2 days before, it won't allow us a lot of time to incorporate any input you might have. So, that would be my only concern, is we could definitely do it the same week, and do our best to incorporate any input, just.
I mean, the
What do we
13th.
have?
Sweeping changes could
Monday
be
night,
hard.
the 13th works
When
fine.
we have the whole month of October to gather, to prepare and be ready for that first.
Peter's.
The consultant's not on board.
They haven't
Well-
had the discussion. So.
So
So,
maybe, let me walk through what I thought I heard you say. So I thought October 3rd, we get both consultants, Dunn City for the survey and Dickies hopefully, and bring them to you.
That would be
At that time,
marvelous.
we lay out the long-term plan, right?
Mhm.
But at that time, we won't have the first workshop designed yet. Are you expecting that in October, we would have already designed the first workshop? And then you could
No, you never.
make
you
plans
never
for
do
that? Okay, because if not, we wouldn't have a first workshop design and present to you till your November meeting.
Right.
And that's when you could react to that and we could make any tweaks before the next week where we would then, with your help, deliver that workshop. So did I miss that?
No,
Or-
that's
Okay.
what we were talking about,
Okay.
and that is even still aggressive because we don't know when the consultants are gonna be online, but that's a plan that has some
I
possibility.
think that's doable. Mhm.
Is there any chance of in progress presentations coming out during the month of October? Not necessarily discussing at the meeting, waiting to discuss at the meeting.
I don't think that they're gonna have anybody on
So
board
we'll be
before.
close.
Well,
to.
no, so I think we could share, I think the whole, like, public discussion piece is what's hard. So when we get what your opinion is or what your opinion is hard to individually, and we could do it if everyone's okay with that.
I think there's a sunshine issue there.
Yeah,
don't
well,
think
because I
we
can't
should be
tell
discussing
him what
that
you
until we
said, but we
discuss
could
it here.
individually incorporate stuff and then at the end. Like, we could give you drafts, get input, but not share with Shane what Roosevelt said, right?
Right.
Like, it's,
Right,
so it could be one-way communication, but
one-way
it,
communication.
to us,
That's a
and that's
possibility,
okay
that's
with me.
not a violation, that's not a
As long as, but you all have to be, because if Roosevelt and Shane want opposite changes, there's no way for us to navigate that except for to bring it into this meeting afterwards,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah.
We wanna do that then, so in between, like
What
a.
about the week after Thanksgiving?
What's
There's
the week
another
after
4
Thanksgiving?
days, that would be the 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th.
For
That-
another
that
workshop, it's
Oh,
like
no,
the first
no,
one,
alternative
the
date.
first one.
November 27 to what?
Or to December first, is a Friday.
December 1. That's not a bad time. Big parties don't start until December,
Thanksgiving would be over.
right?
So. Cause your next workshop is December 4th. So there wouldn't be a lot of time to prepare a report, to report back to you. But
We would be meeting in the beginning of November discussing it.
Right. Having the meeting on this, in that week, and then when we got back to our next meeting, which is December 2.
December
like the
4th,
day-
4th.
Oh, that, then we could like have a, how did it go that night?
But she's questioning, the workshop that is mentioned on the 28th, 29th, or the 30th,
Mhm.
and then the meeting on the 4th. They won't have time to,
To recap it maybe, so
I
I
think
mean,
it'd be a recap. I think that's a recap kind of a thing. That's
Okay.
not a in-depth kind of a thing. That's a,
not a report
how did
out.
it go?
Okay.
Because that's the first meeting. That's the key first meeting. And then when we sit down on December the 4th, how did it go? Did we make mistakes? Will the next ones have to be different, or did the format work out well? And then we go January, February, March, April, da, 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 da. So, I think that's,
I
yeah.
got this question,
Sure.
it's been burning me, and the one that has to for about 30 minutes. I believe for the water treatment, and both you and I attended all the meetings. And you served pretty much as the chair and the spokesman for the group. You objected at this time.
would I object to doing that again? No, that's my job. If you asked me to do it, I would do it. I wouldn't object to it, but that doesn't mean that other people couldn't take a look.
Anybody can come, and in fact, the more come, the better.
Yeah.
And if you would take on that responsibility of being the chair and the spokesman at these meetings, I promise you, I come with you every time.
Good, I'm so glad. We could, yeah, fine, I could do that. Or if I'm not here because I'm in Antarctica, we'll just delegate the vice chair.
Right.
Yeah, sure. Nobody's indispensable,
Okay.
So is
but
your
I
preference
appreciate your thoughts.
that last week, just so I'm clear, that last week of November or the week of the 14th? What's the preference of this group?
Yeah,
Is it preference the 14th or the last week, which is the week of
You tell us.
the 27th, the 13th or the 27th? Which of
The
those
last
weeks?
week gives them more time to modify.
gives them more
the
time. Yes,
The
presentation
27th?
after we
Okay,
comment
let's go to
on
the
it.
27th.
So the week of the 27th. So that would be the kickoff meeting, week of the
First
27th.
kickoff meeting.
27th, okay. And then nothing in
In the
December.
week of November
The week
27th.
of-
Got it.
Well,
So,
that's progress.
so for my clarification, then we're not expecting to meet with Dicky on the 2nd of October.
We were hoping to meet with Vicky on the second, but that would be great.
Because then they need all October to put their presentation.
Right, but if we don't, then we've got the November meeting.
November, we discuss what they put together.
So if they're on board, we'll be able to look at something more detailed by the 6th of November.
Correct.
If not, we'll effectively start working with her on the 6th of November and hope that she can put something together. Public meeting. The week of the 27th. Is that right?
That's correct. That's.
So like a
very-
facilitation plan, yeah, and we'll do that kickoff introduction. I'm pretty confident on the 3rd, or on your November, or your October meeting.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
And but between October and November, there's a lot of work she's gotta do.
Yeah.
And then we gotta talk about it in November, refine it, then she's gotta get it ready to rock on the week of November 27th. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. Having done this before, I can tell you, but you wanna do it, we can do it. We'll be here.
They need to be on board by October 2nd. That's really key.
I agree, but
We'll see.
Let's work on it.
Let's work on it. All right. So I think, that's a lot of direction already. That gets us to the end of the year. And then we have, we can go past that. And we really can't say with surety at this moment what is going to be the subject matter of the November 20th, I'm just going to use 27 as an example. Of November 27 meeting, because we haven't had that discussion. But hopefully it will be substantive and exciting material to get everybody excited before the holidays and get them ready to go January, February, March, April, May. Okay? So. We good? We good?
Yeah, and if
Enough
anyone has
direction?
input in the meantime, send me. feedback.
Same, but
And perhaps we
Yeah.
can all agree, I don't think it needs a motion, but we're strongly encouraging the city to somehow contractually bring Dickey Consulting on board before our meeting of the 2nd of October.
I think it's doable from the interactions we've had with procurement, as long as their amount isn't over 100,000, I think it's.
And we've
They're
been-
not under one of those ongoing as needed.
They're not.
contracts, right?
is this like an annual?
Nope, it's just a one-time consultant engagement.
All right, well, thank you very much for keeping this off, that we have other things to talk about vis-a-vis this subject matter, you know. Certainly.
Yeah, no, I'm-
Okay, one thing I wanted to bring up that's on the subject matter of this effort is that we mentioned to the city manager and also to the city commission that we thought it would be a good idea, a matter of good faith, if they were returned the P3 proposal that's been sort of floating around for like 8 months, 9 months. I think that would take a resolution, a communication to the commission. Asking them to return the money at that, to return the P3 proposal that was on the table. As we are doing this process, so I don't want to make it a complicated resolution, whereas therefore, other than to just suggest to them that. Given that we are undertaking this effort to engage the public in a search for a new city hall, that we believe it would be appropriate for them to return the P3, the previous P3, I mean, the current P3 that's out there. Peter?
So let me play devil's advocate, and what's the downside to them not doing that?
Well, you remember that P3 proposal? It's that pear-shaped building, and it was all based on the old, and you know, when it was gonna be a joint. I mean, it's just too big. It's a monster building. And not getting into the substance of the P3 because I didn't even bother reading it. I think that, you know, having a P3 proposal looming over us, okay, is not a good situation to go out to the public and say, you know, now let's have a discussion. As well, what about the P3 that you still have there? Is that gonna become alive? Is that gonna be on the table? Are we gonna be discussing that? No, we're not discussing that. That's, yeah.
It can't be because that 18-story proposal that banana.
It's a
or you
bit-
call
whatever,
pear-shaped,
it's an orange.
Yeah, that it was then subsequently decided that you couldn't, one, build at the current site, city hall site. Because apparently they had, according to the city manager, if I interpreted it correctly, that you can't do it because it's structurally unfeasible to do that. Because of flooding or whatever.
Whatever.
But that doesn't mean that they can't do it at another location.
Well, maybe, I don't know the substance of the proposal, because like I said, I didn't even look at it. Whether it's feasible or not feasible, or too big or too little, or ugly or beautiful. To me, that's not the issue. The issue is if we want people to take this effort seriously. We have to clear the deck.
Right, I agree with
We
that.
have to clear the deck and say, all right, all ideas are on the table right now. Okay, so can I get a resolution from somebody to make that communication to the commission?
Speak first.
Certainly.
What about P3s come in while we are in process?
Well, I think that, you know, the city manager has the option, has the discretion to accept or not accept P3s.
Really?
Yes,
Oh, I didn't-
I learned that in the P3 committee.
Okay.
So we could certainly tell him or recommend to him that if something drops on his desk while we're in this, to simply say, no, we're in the
So
process.
maybe that should be part of our recommendation, that to return the one that's currently on the table
And not
and
accept.
not accept any further going forward until we are further along in the process or at a certain point in time.
I like that. Would you like to make that resolution?
I would think that was-
Okay, do I hear a second on that resolution? Okay, we got a second. Any more discussion on it?
So this motion is directed at the city manager,
No, to the city commission.
the city commission.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, Peter?
Okay, all right, all in favor?
Uh,
Aye. Okay, we'll draft up, where's the,
Did Laura leave?
okay, we'll draft up some language for you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, oh, well, since you're sitting there, Vicky, can you check out all of our longevity, our status?
I don't have access to those files. I would have to contact the clerk's office, but I can email them to you guys.
Would you please do that so
So
that,
email to you, do you prefer?
no, if you send it to me, I can't send it to them.
Right.
Why don't you just send it to everybody? This is your status, this is your status, this is your status.
All right.
I think there's only 3 of us that are in that situation. And that's Roosevelt, Marilyn and myself, because we all 3 of us started in early 2017.
I'm assuming though, Ralph, that when they changed us from the infrastructure task force to the infrastructure task force advisory committee, that changed, but please find out. the
I'll
answer.
double check. Not a problem.
just, for clarification, did we get a new resolution creating that our second name?
Right, Vicky, you sent me the resolution that extended us from to March of 2025. I can get, why don't you send that to everybody, so everybody sees that resolution?
And I think they normally would have the respective commissioner approve those, the infrastructure member.
It's really, the city clerk is the one who keeps all the time, so let her deal with the city.
All right.
Okay, does anybody have anything more they want to talk about on this subject, on the agenda? Okay. All right, moving on. Update on the water treatment plant, old business. Oh, come friend, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Come on up,
Seat or just stand here or?
come on up, pull up a chair.
I have a question about this water treatment.
You-
You have a question?
No, do you want an update at every meeting or can we do every other, because there is not that much, activity within a month.
Okay,
So if we wanna say every other month, so he'll come and give you.
oh, that's a very, very pertinent, I think every other month. Every
That's
other month is good,
satisfactory, sure.
but as we get closer, it might have to accelerate, but right now, every other month. So how's it going?
It's going well.
Oh,
It's
good.
going good. If you guys don't remember, I'm Daniel Fisher,
Mhm.
a senior project manager in public works, and I'm working on the new water plant. So since I came last month, there's not a whole lot going on. We did get into DRC for review, so they're going through that right now. We're starting to get comments back. The draft deep well permit was issued. So that's big news. They're hoping to get out there and start drilling sometime towards the end of the year.
2 wells.
2 wells.
Wow, that's not nothing.
No,
That's a lot.
yeah.
Getting into DRC is
That was
big.
good. And also we're in the middle of replatting the site. Part of it was platted, part of it wasn't platted. Hawkins Road runs down the middle of that site, and that's a county road, so they're trying to vacate that right now.
Right, I saw that at the commission calendar, on the
Yeah.
commission calendar.
What else? We got temporary easement for FPL approved, so that's good. We're trying to get them on board, US Power in a couple months. A couple of minor things on site. We got to abandon well 42, which is right in the middle of the site, and do some modifications to the piping. Hoping to start clearing and rubbing towards the end of the year. And then we'll be in full swing come January 2024. So.
That's cool. That's very cool.
And we're doing a groundbreaking ceremony sometime. Was the October?
Yeah, we're thinking, we want to get some big equipment on site, so it's not just shovels. So,
Yeah, well, that's wonderful.
You
That's
gotta have the
wonderful.
mayor spreading the.
Of course.
Oh, yeah, we gotta-
Go to backhoe.
The backhoe,
Some
you know.
wheelies in there.
A nice construction fence would be good, coming soon, water treatment plant. Okay.
The enabling works are getting underway.
That
We've
was-
got those contracts approved now, they're being executed, so hopefully sometime in December, we'll have all those going.
Could you say that again? The enabling works is what's always giving me nightmares.
Yeah, so that, the contract to do the work was approved, I think last month. So now we're executing those contracts, so we hopefully will have executed task orders November, December.
Is that for design of the project or
Correct.
the actual construction?
No, that's just
Just the
design.
design.
That's just design.
Okay, Peter.
So who has that design contract?
It's 5 consultants.
Oh, it's split between 5 consultants.
Yeah, we put it out as a general contract, but included those projects as part of the contract.
Does each consultant have their respective discipline of work that they perform as opposed to overlapping versus?
They were all supposed to submit on general water and sewer work, so whoever was selected, any one of these people could do the work.
Okay.
So let me ask you, what are the 5 things?
The 5 consultants,
No, the 5 projects that need
Oh.
to get done.
that's more than 5 projects, but we just selected 5 consultants for it. So we have to give them water, ironically.
We have to give them.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have to take their sewer, we gotta give them power, we gotta bring our SCADA system into there and integrate it. We gotta build that 48-inch water main,
Mhm.
then we have to do some work at 5 We gotta build a new 5 million gallon tank and rehab the high source points. But the way
1,
this
2, 3,
consultants
4,
work
5,
is,
6 things.
there's maybe a couple other small ones, but those are
Big ones.
yeah.
So these 5 consultants, they're gonna rotate and work with all of them. So, not everybody gets all the contracts. So that's the purpose of this.
You sure, okay,
I'm
you know
confused.
better, seems to me a little complicated.
Confused.
Yeah, Peter?
So you've broken up the work into, that the city is doing, into 5 elements. And the design work, you're going to give to 5 different consultants.
I'll probably kind of lump more civil stuff together. And more like the high service pump stuff, I'll give it to somebody else, but that's kind of.
But you're actually intending to use 5 different consultants.
No,
Oh.
no, we can use five.
And you.
Those are the 5
We can't.
consultants that have been approved.
These 5
that have been
consultants
approved to do the
on
work.
board.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
possible
Either one of them can
that
do
some
the
of them, 1 or 2 or 3,
Right.
will get no work.
There's plenty of work in this contract besides the enabling works.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you've gone through the step of bringing consultants on board that are capable of doing this
Correct.
work. But you haven't decided exactly which consultant gets.
Correct.
Okay, all right, if you have them on board by the end of the year, then you can rock and roll on, let's get this piece done, let's get that piece done
Correct. The plan is to put out design criteria package for summer. Other than that, we can
before
get moving
summer.
fast, yeah. Have them out on the street.
The actual physical construction contracts out on the street before the summer.
We hope to advertise the design criteria packages by summer.
And when you say design criteria packages, you mean to build it.
Right, but that'll be at a 30% level, so they'll still have to take it.
It's like
Yeah.
a design build type situation.
So you don't anticipate building this stuff?
We probably won't be into construction until this time next year, end of next year.
That's engineers, is that doable? Is that aggressive?
It's aggressive.
So the city is aggressive.
But we have to.
He's sitting there with his hand over his face, going, oh my God.
He's grimacing,
Mine?
he's grimacing, they don't can't see that.
Because we're on the clock here, we
We
only
are,
had 44 months, whatever it was. And the worst scenario, we would get to the end where they're finished with the plant. And we're not ready to take it because the penalties
We're not letting that happen.
outrageous.
I think the nano filtration work, it should go rather smoothly because of the fact that it's not a, unknown,
New process.
it's established and, so it should be something that's pretty simplistic. Once you do one, it's a cookie cutter type of thing where you put on another filtration system.
And they're doing pilots too on the water. I mean, they're doing a lot of different things to make sure.
Sure.
Being everything that is. we're monitoring all
So
that.
you can tweak to make sure that filtration is, as effective as possible.
Who's the architect who's doing the building?
The actual building,
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Kiewit is the contractor. And they're subbing out a lot of
Okay.
the building work. We're actually gonna get shop drawings for the building, this week or next.
cool. James,
Daniel, I'm not sure if this is within your purview or not, but has there been any additional or outcry or feedback or criticism coming from the neighborhoods that are up in that area?
Yes, there is one neighborhood just north, Palm Air. They're mainly concerned with the view. So they are adamant about getting a lot of trees planted and the short amount of time, so plants up and running. So the city has,
Built into the plan or something, or?
there's no, well, the plant is about 400 feet offset from their fence line. So, and there's already a good set of trees that are around Gator Lake. So I don't think it'll be an issue, but the city has been proactive in planting additional trees.
so the Parks Department's got a plan to go in and plant some trees.
Our public works department
Public
has
Works.
already gone in there and planted.
Oh.
Oh,
Tree
this is
planting
good.
party.
Yep.
This is good. This is good. Yes.
So
Peter.
at what stage would you characterize the water plant drawings as being to go to DRC?
Probably at 30% level, I'd say.
So
I mean, the site plan is complete, but as from an all package perspective, yeah, they're probably around 30.
then I could go to the one-stop shop and ask to see those drawings, right?
They have been submitted,
That would be entitled
They're
to see them.
public records.
It's a public record.
Okay, very good. All right, well, I think, I don't, I'm impressed with the amount of stuff that's gotten done in a month, so carry on. And maybe we don't have to do this again until, I don't know, next year perhaps? Or do you want to do this one more time in December?
Oh, yeah, let's hear December.
Let's
end of
hear
year.
December, end of year wrap up, how we're doing end of year, okay?
Perfect.
Thank you so much,
Just
yes.
out of curiosity, what's the time element on both of the deep injection wells?
They're about a year each.
You're each, to be concurrently constructed.
No.
No.
One of them, yeah.
So then that's at least 2 year program.
Yep.
But you have, that means that after the second one has been completed, then you'll have, I guess, DER giving you the green light, then
You gotta make-
turn on the system.
Correct.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Daniel.
You're welcome.
It's good.
Okay. Oh, wait, you might be the same person, the replacement, the next item, the replacement of the.
He's out the door.
Oh, that's that guy.
Come over here.
And that guy would be,
William Powers, different manager as well,
come on in.
It's been with us for about what, 2 months?
like 4 months. Yeah.
4 months.
Okay, can I get that again, William Powell?
Power, yeah,
Okay,
POWER. So we're talking about GTL effluent, right?
Yep.
Force main.
my
So-
favorite subject, effluent.
So that project, actually, the RFPs presentations were held July 26th. Where Rickman Construction Florida became the highest ranked firm. We prepared everything to go to commission for the September 19th commission.
Okay,
We were asked to move it to October due to funding. The cost without, CI services or PM work or anything was around $46 million. So while we were preparing everything, and we had everything prepared for the September 19th, we moved it up for October 3rd. We were notified that a bid protest was submitted as well. So currently procurement with the city attorney's office are evaluating that protest.
did you say a protest?
Yes, a bid protest.
No. Oh, damn.
So we have specific, very stringent dates established in the interlocal agreement with Brown County that was actually approved by the county's commission August 22nd. And the first one is that we have to finish Eisenhower in the intersection on 20th by, I think it's December 1st of next year.
Next year,
Yes, so that's why it's very important to actually
hopefully give an NTP January 1st. And get this resolved. Other target dates are complete Eisenhower, at least the areas that we disturbed by June of 2025. That coincides with the opening of the convention center. And we have to finish the entire project by June of 2026, if I'm correct, several months. Yeah, it's June 2026 is the date that we want to finish, but September 2026
deadline.
is the deadline for the consent order.
Is this written down in some document somewhere?
Yes, in the ILA,
So can we get a copy of the ILA?
sure.
Just send it, just email it out to us, so we know what the benchmarks are. Okay, so do you
send
think
it
that
to
this protest is going to really screw up the process and not let you meet that timeline?
I cannot say. You
Hmm.
know, protest definitely, I can say yes, because anything that delays us with this stringent timeline and this, specific schedule established by Broward County, it's something that we need to get going as quickly as possible, presentations were made. The team worked hard, getting everything sorted out to submit to commission. We delayed it a little bit for the funding, and then we get, this news that definitely is a concern to meeting the deadline. Not only consent order, but specifically Eisenhower specific,
Yeah.
stringent dates.
Madam Chair.
Is there anything? Yes.
Yeah. I just want, people protest all the time. And some of them are, worthy. And some of them are not. What's your feeling on this particular protest? Is it's credible or not?
So I don't know the specifics of it. I have not gone through the protest. I know procurement has been working a lot. I think the assistant city attorney is almost done with the response from Richmond, Florida to the protest. So hopefully we can get some feedback in the next couple of weeks. But I cannot speak on the validity of the actual protest.
Is there anything we can do? I mean, if we were to communicate to the commission how vital this is, that they should, prioritize this, because the council has a lot of work to do. And, somebody has to set the priorities for what they're doing. So, I don't know, I'm
I think
thinking,
it's a legal issue.
oh, I'm sure it's a legal issue.
I mean, it's either some validity
Yeah.
legally, or there is.
Absolutely,
It's all
but
very well if it's some legal validity, so then we can encourage them to overlook it, but
no, I wouldn't encourage them to overlook, but I'm saying, you have so many assistant attorneys, okay? And they all have work. And, it might, yeah,
At this point, protests go through the person who writes the letter that either says, yes, this protest is valid, or that no, this protest is not, is procurement.
okay,
And then once the protest goes, the protest has to go to the commission. It usually goes with the award item if the protest is not considered valid. But the commission has to hear the
I
protest.
didn't know that, okay. So that's time.
It's time, it will delay the item going to the commission because the protest has to be responded to.
And then do they get a chance to respond to the response, or just once response?
What I have seen in the past is that they entertain the protest. Usually the protesting entity has an opportunity to present to the commission. But if there's no validity to the protest, the recommendation to the commission is to deny the protest. So if someone comes and staff has recommended to deny the protest, at that point, commission has to determine whether they want to overturn staff's recommendation.
And
Can I ask you a question, what's the nature of the protest?
As William said, I don't know what the nature of the
Okay.
protest is.
I'm just out of curiosity. I do want to point out, that Suleiman, our program manager for the consent order, has been in constant communication with procurement, as well as our director, Alan Gott. So there's a lot of people, reaching out, asking for updates and then notifying them of all these critical dates.
But like the gentleman here said, there's a process that they need to follow in procurement. So it's, new course really at this moment.
I don't know there's anything the infrastructure task force can do,
Well, that
unless what in the commission agenda memo. Public Works will absolutely outline the criticality of the dates and the requirements related to the consent order, that will be part of the conversation. That in terms of maintaining a timely award. But that's up to the commission whether they, number one, uphold the protest, and number two, decide to make the award to the recommended vendor.
Just another horrible thought. If the commission uphold, let's say procurement says, no, this is not a no-go, okay, the protest is not valid. And the commission goes with them, are we in court after that?
Most likely.
There is always potential for the vendor to disagree and to then pursue litigation, and we have had that situation.
Is there any way to buy this guy off? Is there any way to, not buy him off, I mean, include him in the process, cut him in on the deal, or?
We get 4 months, so I can't. So now I'm doing probation.
We would have to change the nature of the initial procurement.
Oh, we go back over.
We would go back out for.
Let's take more time than that, all right.
And
just
then
gonna have
the
to-
one that won, then he will protest.
And then
Yes,
they
it
will-
will.
Yeah, okay.
He was no different here.
We just have to keep an eye on this, because, yes, Peter?
This just suddenly occurred to me. The replacement, there are two pipes currently, correct? One in use and one redundant, because when we had the issue with somebody drilling in to the large pipe, it was found to be, or known to be a redundant pipe that we could have used. So when this happens, there's two pipes become redundant. Is
So-
that correct?
Let me answer that because, so Peter, so this is, you're thinking of the
Sewer
water,
water.
right?
Yeah.
No.
This is different.
Effluent.
This is
This,
different.
this is the pipe that takes the water from the wastewater treatment plant to the injection wells. That's a different pipe.
Okay.
Yeah,
And as I recall, there is no alternative, it's this is
Yeah.
it,
that's it.
and it's gotta be done,
Right.
Yeah.
it's gotta be done.
I just remember that 54-inch now.
Yeah, it's just happened to be the same size.
Yeah.
Once they found the valve, they were ready to go.
They
We
found
did
the
found
valves,
the valve.
yes, they
Well,
did.
Yeah, there was, so there's only one effluent
Yeah.
pipe to the injection wells, but we are currently also working on a DCP to rehab certain sections and get that redundancy back as well.
But that's he's
That's a
thinking about-
separate-
it's a
Something
separate,
else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all water mains and stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so, well, we just have to keep on it, and is there any possibility that we may have to go back to the county and ask for an extension?
It's not really well, it's the consent order too. We have the deadline with the consent order for this pipe. So like he's saying, our goal is June 2026,
Yeah.
but the deadline is
That's the
September.
deadline for the consent.
We might have to, if this gets delayed, we might have to for that and work something with the county.
We have to throw ourselves upon their mercy and,
Yeah.
okay, well, we have to do what we have to do. Thank you very much, thank you,
Thank y'all.
keep us posted.
I will.
You don't have to come every month, but just keep us posted, let.
I can update you.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Thank y'all.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, CIP financial report, public works, CIP financial report and water and sewer rate monitoring. Is anything, I see it in the back of the backup material, but is there anything you want to bring to our attention, or is it,
There were no sewer breaks.
yeah, so happy, yeah.
There was one water break, it was 16-inch pipe. Don't know all the details on that, but that's very minimal. But yeah, we're having better luck with those breaks.
That's good, very good. Ralph?
Yeah, I just kind of a little off on with the wastewater piping as far as I noticed right after our last meeting here last month, that the city went out, put out an advertisement for consultants for submittal to analyzing, recommending the wastewater collection systems. As far as getting them repaired and get the. Getting this, the sand that's coming in through the headworks at the. Steve Omar wastewater treatment plant down. Because I remember going over there a couple times and I saw this big mound of sand. That tells me that there's a lot of collection systems that are out there that are still needing, you know, to be replaced or repaired or whatever. So is there any input back on that advertising or notification for consultants to work with the city in order to address and design and complete whatever the collection of wastewater collection system, please?
So you're talking about the
I.
Yeah, so we did have advertisement for contractors to do the work. We similar to what Daniel was talking about, enabling works. We also selected X amount of contractors to do this work, and we rotate them as it requires. So there is a lot of work that is gonna be going on with the INI. Now, right now, we have selected 2 firms, and procurement is working with the other 2 or 3 to get in the mix. So we can have 5 companies we can go to and advertise this, and they all bid on that, and the lowest and most reliable contractor will win the bid, and that's how we do it. So not necessarily all 5 will work on this. If one keeps hitting the right number and the right conditions, we'll keep giving that work to that.
Gotcha.
But we're still in the process of picking the other 2 or 3.
So that was a $20 million design contract for a potential $100 million
Right,
in a number of years for INI.
right.
So
And
that
that's
was-
what we
that
have for INI for this, for 2024.
was- Okay, so, but that's good, because now we'll get them all on board, and then we can start knocking out every year, 20 million, 20 million,
Right.
20 million.
Before the new force mains get ground down.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Okay, well, thank you very much, and that brings us to item number 5, general you have something on that? Okay, general comments, committee members, general comments. Yes, Peter.
So there was some discussion a few months back in front of the city commission about the city going to the county to raise the permitted capacity of Loma. Did anything come of that, or what's the status of that? The commission sort of said fine, but then I think I heard from a staff person that they stopped pursuing it.
They increased the limit.
Yes.
That's here, you
The
haven't been that involved with that.
Broward County was approached by, the Broward County mayor was approached by the city mayor, asking about our concerns regarding the capacity. And the Broward County mayor came back and said it was an administrative misunderstanding, and they raised our capacity by 6 million,
Something like that.
6 million gallons a day.
But that's a done deal.
Yes.
So our paper capacity has been raised by 6 million, and then there are other things the city is currently pursuing in order to determine how we manage increasing the overall capacity of the plant moving forward, because some of our large users are at their limit for what they can put in the system, which is impacting their ability to continue development.
Oh, so it's a question of the other people.
Well, it's an issue of our capacity as well as the other large users. Because the large users have quantities that are listed in the large user packages. And if they go above and beyond those capacities, number one, it changes the rate scale that they have to pay into the system. And the city can say, if you have a development over a certain size, that we also have the ability to say, no.
We're also.
So Oakland Park is very upset.
Wilton Manors.
Wilton Manors.
I don't know,
So we-
I don't know if Oakland Park is.
So we're having, in the meantime, we'll hire another consultant to work on even increasing that capacity even more, and they're preparing some kind of document to show to the county, besides what they granted us.
Roosevelt,
Yes, for staff. When will we begin to deal with the replacement, repair, and the original installation of sidewalks?
can we do sidewalk? I love sidewalk. Can we do that as a separate thing?
Sure.
Let's finish up the capacity issue. The sidewalks is not the capacity issue.
Oh,
That's another subject.
yeah.
Yeah, okay,
but,
well, we'll
we
come
were-
back to
we were
sidewalks.
doing Members' comments.
Yeah, I want to see if we're finished, because
Oh,
Peter,
okay.
do you have another question on the capacity?
Just gonna see if I understand this right. So the county's action with the city means that some development which was about to be or was stalled because of the old broken limit on low line. Those developments are now able to proceed because they're within that increased capacity that has been granted. Is that correct?
Right, so keep in mind, when we issue a capacity letter, it is based on future capacity, and so it's not capacity that is coming into the plant the day after we hand them the letter, it's future capacity.
Yes. But now you're bumping up against all the large users, like Park. They're bumping up against the limit, which was set in an old
Which is set in their current large user agreement.
So we've got our developers out of the pickle, but we've got developers that are large users.
That
Still in a
potentially, that are potentially limited by the contract as opposed to the capacity of the plant. But in the long term, there will be an issue with capacity of the plant if we continue to want to develop and continue to want to have additional capacity. And Shane's nodding his head, yes, so clearly I'm on the right track.
Well, as I recall, one of the issues on the capacity was we were bumping, just us. We were bumping.
Us and everybody.
We were bumping.
So it's us and everybody else is
Yes,
bumping,
that number is us and everybody.
and
else.
everybody else, okay,
Yeah, so there was a
But
discrepancy
our-
between FDEP's number and Broward County's number.
right.
And Broward County just threw their hands up and said, oh, it's not our fault, but we were wrong.
It wasn't a discrepancy, it was a difference.
It was a
Well, it's a different methodology, as I recall, it's a
implementation.
methodology issue.
It was right, it was a different in the way that they were administering the permit. Correct.
So the only thing I'm going to say about this is I feel like this should have been not before, because I understand it's basically an administrative process, but I feel like I shouldn't have had to ask about this. It should have been on our agenda,
Oh, we
because
were,
it's kind of a big deal.
I know, but you were a couple of ways,
Yeah.
you were away a couple, and we did talk
Chris
about it.
Bennett talked through it. but
Yes,
All right,
yeah, we did.
I apologize.
No, it's
I
a
didn't-
point. We
I
did,
didn't realize.
yeah, so there was, yes, we did. So now let's do sidewalks.
So Madam Chair, I have a-
So what was
Okay,
it?
yeah, I think it's fine.
What was your question about the sidewalk? And I don't have anybody here that is a sidewalk expert, but let me see what.
I was concerned about the start time, or when will sidewalks that to repair, to replace, and the installation of new sidewalks. When will our agenda reflect a starting?
When our what?
Will reflect the start time, when will we start? You know, we've been here 6, 7 years and we haven't got the sidewalks yet, or roads.
We are continuously repairing sidewalks all the time. I believe that there is not enough money to do new sidewalks.
Well, Nancy, you want to take that one?
Um,
Come join us.
the Transportation Mobility Group, over the course of this coming fiscal year, is moving forward with what's called a gap analysis. So they are going to be using some data that the Stormwater Operations team generated to better understand swales and right of ways, to also look at not only sidewalk condition, but sidewalk lengths. Engineering will use the information on the sidewalk condition to help prioritize where we need to replace existing sidewalks or repair existing sidewalks. And we have a standing dollar amount in the CIP budget to do that. And then transportation mobility is gonna take that data and they're gonna look at gaps and develop a gap plan, which will prioritize the areas that we have gaps in, where either we know these are areas that, number one, want them, and number two, will serve a critical facility. So for example, making sure that there are sidewalks around schools. And then number two, again, targeting the neighborhoods where we don't have sidewalks to determine whether those neighborhoods want sidewalks. Because as much as people think that everybody wants sidewalks, not everybody wants them. So in addition to that, there was money put into, and unfortunately Laura's gone, but there was about $500,000 put into the CIP to start addressing known gaps that we already felt were prioritized. I believe that that number is going to drop to $250,000 at the final budget in order to recognize that we don't have the plan yet and to address some of those critical areas where we absolutely positively know that the gap is there. It's something that we want to approach. But for the most part, the thought process is once the gap plan is there, to start pushing for funding in the coming fiscal years in order to meet the gaps.
Right.
Then how, when you talking about mobility, I know they was out and it's mandated that they create the sidewalks that will accommodate wheelchairs and yeah, the ADA. And if we are out repairing and replacing and putting in different links. Most time, a lot of these ADA spots, or especially at bus stops, you have buses that have no regular stop. How are you going to designate ADA locations?
So you can turn your head the other way and ask Omar that question. I don't know the answer to that. I can tell you that all new sidewalks and all new sidewalk segments are considering ADA. And then when we repair sidewalks in a specific location that should meet ADA requirements, we repair it in a way to do that accommodation. But in terms of future locations of where we're doing ADA locations, I don't know.
No, like you said, if it's a repair and an ADA ramp is missing, we will put it there. You know, we will implement that, but in the, new locations, I mean, I'm not sure what. I will have to talk to Jill and see what the plan is on that,
Well, we made a big push in this budget. Laura will tell you about this. For that $500,000 for new sidewalks, for the gaps.
Yeah.
Big push. And I'm very unhappy to hear that that might go down to 250,000 because we have known spots already. There's a list. I mean, there's been people who've been bitching about their sidewalks and wanting them for years. Probably you have some.
I get tired of getting bugged about
Yeah,
the sidewalk.
yeah. So we didn't want to wait. We didn't want to
They're
wait.
not
another-
there, they have a reason who want them. And I know the city been promising that since I was 18. And it's still not there. And I just want to know when it is put on our agenda that we are now beginning to work with sidewalks. Because even though you're saying you're constantly replacing and repairing sidewalks now, we don't see that.
We have a list, our updated list that we put up like once a week with all the work that is done. I think we sent you that already, didn't we?
Yeah.
We never said that?
So in 2014, we did a sidewalk condition index study. And we started working on that initially. And we're at a point now where we're being essentially reactive to requests for repairs. The two activities that are happening during the course of the next fiscal year, one will do the sidewalk condition index, which will help us better prioritize where we should be putting the money, where we have the biggest problems. And then the gap analysis will create the plan for where we should be putting new sidewalks. And I can tell you, this is very similar to the challenges we've had with the urban forestry master plan, which we are moving forward now, is that when we get tree trust fund money, the question is where do you put it? And we don't have a prioritized plan for where it should go. And I think, Marilyn, to your point, that's part of the question here, is that since we don't have a prioritized plan, how much money should you be putting out there to put in new sidewalks and meet those gaps when we don't have a prioritized plan? And I think that was part of the issue.
I'm sure it was, but you know, the question becomes a matter of what are your priorities? Because there have been, I can tell you at least 4 communities in District 4 that have been working with TAM for years on sidewalk segments. So, you know, I'm a planner, I love a plan, I love a priority list, right? But you know, you've got people who are aggravated beyond belief. We've been working on this, we've been talking about this for 6 years. I am not waiting till 2028 to get that.
And again, that's, I think,
That's
that's the
discussion.
amount of money that's left in the budget, the proposed budget is intended to start to address some of those areas
Right.
that are of appropriate priority that everyone can generally agree on, to
Agree on.
start that process while we're getting the gap analysis.
Yeah, and I love a gap analysis, I love a plan, and we'll have a plan, and then we can go get even more funds. But right now, people are, it's a political thing, actually, it's a neighborhood kind of a. You've been telling me this for 5 years and I haven't seen anything, so even if you get one done. Even if you just get one, pick the most important one. But that's my opinion, that's got nothing to do with our infrastructure test.
And even though we have a plan on what to repair, the
Mhm.
priority check is all the time because somebody might call a commissioner and say, and so we keep. You know, reprioritizing all these things. So that this change is like a constant change. It's a live document, but if you want, we can send you a copy of the last document where we track all the sidewalk repairs.
I think Jill is doing a wonderful job. Every time I call her and say the sidewalk is falling apart, eventually she and her crews get there and they fix it. They're very, and of course, they only have $1.5 million for it.
Yeah, but
So we asked her last time.
You Maryland. You
No,
get
no,
that kind of stuff done. What about us little people?
She called Jill. She's very good at these things. She'll come out for everybody. Okay, so that was, anybody else have anything for committee members? Probably, yes, James.
So this isn't new. I just, sorry, I want to step back to the previous discussion. Shane was explaining to me about Wilton Manors and it was a sidebar, and I think I'm trying to get educated a little bit here.
Okay.
So can we just step back, and I'm trying to understand what the issue is for Wilton Manors and.
Okay,
So I don't know that I don't think the city's holding up development in Wilton Manor at this point, right?
No,
It's not, they've exceeded their user agreement, but it's not stopping.
So they get fined when that happens, or there are more higher rates, the rate changes or something?
the rate change, there's a different bracket, right, for more usage of.
So, but then if there's a developer in Wilton Manors and that means X amount more resources needed. Then their water rates just go up that much more, right? And that's what, okay, but no one is saying you can't have any more.
Correct.
Okay.
so wait a minute, so everybody in Wilton Manors pays a higher sewer rate to accommodate the developer?
That could be the case.
Somebody's paying. So if it's Wilton Manors that's paying, it's all of the people in Wilton Manors are paying for more capacity to accommodate the developer, and I hope they give them
Unless
impact
they're
fees.
just tagging the developer.
Huh?
Unless somehow they're tagging that developer, which they should.
They should,
But
actually.
what about Wilton Manor increasing their usage along with Oakland Park and whoever else? And all of a sudden, we find out now that the whole system is bumping.
Well, yeah,
Madam Chair.
yes, sir, yes, ma'am.
So one of the things that our large user is required to do, and you as a infrastructure task force are well aware of, is that the city has been spending literally tens of millions of dollars on inflow and infiltration. Our large users are also required to do that. And that is a way that they can increase their capacity. Because we have installed meters at many of the outflow locations from those cities. And they have the same challenges that we have when it rains very hard. And so they have the same opportunity that we have in order to make those improvements in their systems, because the city of Fort Lauderdale does not own their system. We provide treatment. So their collection system is under their own jurisdiction and under their own public works. And so they also have an opportunity, you know, you can say, oh, well, city of Fort Lauderdale is preventing them from developing. Well, they have opportunities within their own systems to make those improvements and to reduce the amount of effluent that they are sending to us.
Yeah, Chris just texted me that the issue with Wilton Manors was that they were already at their capacity. And they're asking for more capacity, and that's when we said, you know, you can add more capacity to it. Cannot, but they'll surcharge you for the extra capacity. So that's how that. can-
And are those contracts renewed every year or?
No, I think they renew every
25.
every 5 years.
I think the last one we did with Oakland Park was 25 years. Oh,
20
I'm sorry, that was water rates. That was water rates.
No, I think it's every, I wanna say 5 years.
We meet with them at least once a year to talk through a reconciliation of previous expenditures and the rates that were being set for the future year, which feeds into their budgets each year. But I think the large user agreements, we just went through a
It's been a
series
couple
of them
years.
over the course of the last 2 years,
2
3
years.
years. So I think that they are either 5 or 10-year permits, but I don't know for a fact.
So now I'm confused again. Have any of the large users had to inform any potential developers something along the lines of, I'm sorry, you know, this site does not have the capacity.
Wilton Manors is the only one I know of where a potential development was put on hold to resolve this issue with their contractor, but it's the only one I'm aware of.
It would have increased the
It would have-
cappers in the agreement with that large user.
Correct. They were going over their contractual capacity to discharge into our system.
And what you're saying is some of the solution is in their own hands with Manners overall, because they could be doing a more ambitious I&I program.
That's correct,
Freeing up capacity.
potentially.
And they can also request more capacity formally to us, and we might consider that or not.
We would have to amend
Amend
their
it.
contract.
And it's, I think it's between 20 and 25 years, the contract, that's the.
Who is monitoring their big users, I program?
That's a difficult question. And the reason it's a difficult question is that while they're contractually obligated to maintain their systems, the city doesn't really have a regulatory ability to determine whether they are doing it or not. Our ability to regulate Roosevelt is at the meter. And the metering is something we've done in the last 5 or 6 years, Omar.
Yeah.
So that we are currently in a place where we now have real data to be able to say, this is what you're discharging. Which in the past, we didn't have that same ability. So we've improved our data collection to determine how we're being impacted by our large users.
And hopefully we're being very stingy with our capacity. Hopefully.
Oh, we are not, yeah.
Well. Okay. All right. This is not a subject that is gonna go away.
No.
We'll be talking about this again. All right, so that takes care of item number 5, general discussion and comments. I don't believe we have any public people working, listening. No, nobody's here. How about we adjourn our next meeting to October 2nd? And we've got a lot of work to do starting in October. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. That's one of those, me, doing what I do on the private, exactly backward. But points, you know, both the, here's what it's gonna be, what do you think?
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's part of the subject. Yeah.
Nobody has.
That's not a consultation.
Nobody has asked me what I want.
What kind of desk you want?
Make sure we're getting a new survey, right?
You get water plan.
I've been working for so long.
I don't care
about that stuff.
Black.
Put your office without water plan.
I mean, a cube, right? I've been in a cube now for like days.
That the traffic.
No privacy.
No, do you have a view? Any view? No?
Four walls. Not big enough fundamentally to. No, they don't.
No, they don't.
Because they're on camera.